funny. So I wanted to pop in here today and talk to you a little bit about your ICA. So ICA stands for Ideal Client Avatar. And it's really important that everybody that runs a business, regardless of which type of business, has an ICA. And here's why. So an ICA helps you streamline your marketing. If you know, well, let me back up. Let me tell you what an ICA is, aside from it being an ideal client avatar. So an ICA is, it's basically a fictitious person or a fictitious person that is a meld or mesh of several people into one. And this person is who you picture anytime you do any type of marketing. It's who you picture when you create your website. It's who you picture when you develop your services. It's who you picture when you create a new handout to give to somebody or you want to do a presentation, whether it's in person or via webinar. It's your person. It's who you think about every time you create something for your business. And the reason that we have this person is not only does it helps to streamline marketing. That's a big reason. That's a huge reason, actually. And every type of business has an ideal client. Walmart, when Walmart came to fruition, at some point their marketing team got together and said, who do we want to target? Who are the people that we want to create this business for so that we can bring more of them into the business? Hair salons. Hair salons have an ideal client. So hairstylists all have an ideal client. Restaurants have an ideal client. For instance, a vegan restaurant has a very specific ideal client. They are marketing to the vegan population. So each business, regardless if it's a service or if it's a product-based business, it doesn't matter. Everybody has an ideal client. You may not always see who that person is, or you may not always see the process that goes into creating an ideal client in other businesses, but they certainly go through that process. And in your business, if your intention is to have a private practice or to bring in your own clients and not work for somebody else, it's important that you have an ICA. Whenever you create all of these things that I had just said that you create for your business, whenever you create any of them, you want to keep in mind that ICA. You want to picture that person or that conglomeration of people in your head and ask yourself, is this something that is going to help this person? Is this something that this person, this ICA, can benefit from? And is it something that they can see themselves benefiting from it? That's a hard word, benefiting from it. So for instance, let's say I help the elderly population that have type 2 diabetes. And I just use that excuse or that example because somebody had recently asked a question about that. So let's say my ICA is elderly men north of 65 that have been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. If I were to create a handout on balancing estrogen, because I thought, oh, that would be a fun handout to make, it might be a fun handout to make, but that is not going to benefit my ICA whatsoever. They don't want to know about balancing estrogen. They don't care about balancing estrogen. A handout for that ICA might be low GI carbs and the benefits of them, or how stress can impact type 2 diabetes, or how high cortisol in the body can create insulin dysregulation, using smaller words. But if you have an ICA, you're able to create services, products, handouts, those sorts of things much easier because you know exactly who they're going to help, and it helps your marketing strategy because you know who you're trying to talk to. So that's one big reason that it's important that everyone creates an ICA. If you don't know who you're marketing to, your marketing is going to be a little bland. And what I mean by that is, let's say I want to market to women, but I don't know what they're dealing with. I don't know what their greatest concerns are, what their problems are with their health, what they wish they could change, what they're, battling with right now. I don't know anything about that, about what's going on with my ICA. So instead, I just kind of blindly target women. And I might say things like, take charge of your health and eat nutritiously. These are just very vague words. Everybody kind of wants those things, but we don't really use those words when we say them. But if I were to say, I drilled down in my ICA, and I'm going to talk to women between the ages of 35 and 40 that are starting to notice some hormone dysregulation. And because of that, they're noticing some bloat, maybe some constipation, maybe a little weight gain. And I talk to these women and I know what they're struggling with. Then I can use those words back to them and say, um, I help women that are dealing with unexplained bloat, or maybe they're starting to feel like their skin's a little looser than it used to be, or maybe they're having trouble sleeping at night, or they notice they might be a little more anxious than normal, or they're having ruminating thoughts. So these are things that people in that category are dealing with, but they don't say like, oh, I want to balance my hormones. That's the problem that I'm having. Instead, they would say, I don't know why I can't sleep at night because I'm just up thinking about everything that happened during the day. Or, I'm replaying this thing over and over on repeat that somebody said to me earlier, and I've never done that before. So having an ICA kind of helps you use their words back to them to make a better connection with them, so that when you're marketing, you make a much more clear connection, and they're reading your website, or they're reading your handout material, or they're on a webinar with you, and they're like, man, they really get me. They know exactly what I'm dealing with. I really like this person, and I think that they can help me. So that's a big reason why we need to have an ICA. There's a little kind of pushback sometimes, and a little bit of fear. And I'll be honest with you in saying that I was there at one point. I was afraid of drilling down. I was afraid of marketing to just one person or one subset of people, because I was afraid that I was going to exclude all these other people in my area or in the US or anywhere that could help me. I was afraid of that. And it's a common fear, and it's okay to have that fear. But what I can tell you is this, is there are billions of people in the world, and there is not enough of you to go around to help all of these people. Even if you drill down to a super duper specific ICA, there is still not enough of you to go around to help all of those people. So my ICA is women between the ages of 35 and 45 who are dealing with general digestive issues and weight gain. So I kind of explained them a little bit before. So somebody that just all of a sudden starts to have digestive issues and they don't know where it came from. And it's all leading from hormone imbalance. So we're eating late at night, we're noticing some more crepey skin, maybe we're having a little exercise intolerance, we're finding that our motivation just isn't there. We're diving into the bag of chips every night at 8 p.m. That's my ICA, and I know it well because I've done a ton of research and I've talked to a lot of people. But there's still not enough of me to help all of the women that fall in that category. And even though that is my ICA and that is who I market to, you can go to my website and see that's very specifically who I market to, I still see people outside of that ICA. I have had 40-year-old male truck drivers. I've had 80-year-old men with type 2 diabetes. I have had those clients. I've had 18-year-old girls that have just gone off to college and they're struggling on, how to find that balance between going out and having fun, but also, making sure that they're in tune with their stress and eating healthy while they're away. So even though you market to a very specific population, it doesn't mean that you're not going to get these outliers. And I think that those outliers are great because they test you and your clinical experience. They force you to get back into the research. They force you to read new things, to try new things, because when you see a specific person over and over and over, it tends to come a little routine. There might be somebody in that ICA that throws you a curveball, but it's helpful for you in your time management because you can see these people quickly, you can help them quickly, you know exactly what you want to do with them. And it helps you with research and documentation. You're not spending a lot of time diving into the research. You're not spending hours and hours working on soaps or enzymes after your appointment. Things happen very quickly when you're able to see the same type of person over and over. But these outliers kind of bring us back to when we first graduated college and we're spending hours researching and learning new things. So I appreciate those outliers because they do bring a little fun and excitement back into the practice. But don't worry about excluding people. You're never going to fully exclude everybody. But the purpose of the ICA is to build that connection between you and your potential client, but really to streamline your marketing so you can use very specific words to bring more of that person in. So I understand the resistance to creating one. I had it myself, but it's really important that we do that. So let me know if you have any questions. I didn't see any questions that popped up. If you have any questions afterwards, let me know, and I'm happy to pop back in and answer them. So if you haven't picked an ICA, if you haven't niched down, you haven't created an ICA, I highly encourage you to do that. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you later. Bye.